From Wall Street to Main Street to help small business owners have the same capital as corporate America and give them the same resources as a larger company. We cover business funding, business credit, scaling, business consulting, and much more. Check out the website at shieldadvisorygroup.com. Welcome to the show, The Liquid Lunch Project.
Matt, are we in a recession right now?
It really depends who you ask, because looks like
I'm asking you. I'm asking Matthew R. Meehan.
I think we've been in a recession for quite a while, and I think people are changing terms, especially the White House recently, because it isn't the definition of a recession 2 negative GDP quarters in a row. And
well, we've got that check 1, check 2. So we got Q1 and Q2. However, if you look at the consumer metrics, we're spending money like drunken sailors. The average American household is flush with cash. Is this a downturn of emotion, or is there something structurally wrong with the system?
I think there's something structurally wrong with the system, and it has to be rewired, right? And that all starts with rewiring ourselves, and that's why we have ST on the show today. What's going on, ST? How are you?
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be here.
Awesome. So ST, we're talking about rewiring the system, but I think rewiring a system starts with rewiring one person and one person's mindset and way of thinking. So you're the expert in this space. So talk to us about why some people are more productive and why some people can rewire easily than others.
Yes, so everybody could get rewired, first of all. Some people are like, oh, I'm too broken, I can't be rewired. So like, just hold that out there. Everybody could. But the reason that is because when we say thinking, we think of it as one big thing. But thinking is really made up of 28 parts called cognitive functions. These are the thinking skills or the thinking actions that affect everything else that you're doing. So it's affecting your productivity, it's affecting your workflow, it's affecting trying to grow your business or whatever else you're doing. So if some of those cognitive functions are weak, it's going to make it hard for you to do certain things.
Right. So ST, talk to us a little bit about how you got involved in the rewiring, the coaching space, and helping people become more productive.
Yes. So I actually, when I was in 5th grade, I struggled with reading still. Like I was still going to reading tutors, and parents were spending a ton of money on it and not really getting much results. And so they brought in from Israel, there's Forresting method where it was developed. They brought it into, they like brought people over, and I started getting sessions. And not only did it improve my reading, but improved like my overall all general academics. My confidence grew. I became like much more open, much more willing to try things because my brain was now rewired. And because I saw how much of a difference it affected my life, like literally my life was changed, I decided I wanted to go in it. And so at 17, I started getting trained, and here I am.
You know, our audience tends to get stuck in their own way sometimes, and they're staring at a tree when they don't see the overall forest. And me and Luigi believe that's because they're thinking linearly, right? Instead of all around, and how it's going to encompass and affect their overall aspects. Can you give us some hacks so our audience can actually, and the listeners can, if they find themselves getting stuck, can actually rewire?
Yeah. So first off, did you ever hear of growth mindset? Carol Dweck?
No, I never read that book. So why don't you explain it to us?
Yeah. So first of all, Carol Dweck, she was a psychologist in Stanford, still is maybe, I don't know, but she's still alive. I don't know if she's actually still working there, but she wanted to know what makes people successful, whether it's in business or in sports, in school, like how are people successful? And what she found is that it's not talents, it's not money, it's not like IQ or anything. It's literally their mindset. So she discovered there's 2 types of mindset. There's either a fixed mindset or growth mindset. And it's just like it sounds. Fixed is like they're stuck in their ways, they see what they're seeing. And growth mindset is like they're willing to try new things, they're willing to take risks. If they fail, they take feedback from it, and they're trying to grow and learn new things. So if you want to be successful on anything, that's literally the first thing you've got to do is develop that growth mindset.
So having a growth mindset for most of the audience that are small business owners and entrepreneurs out there, generally tends to come natural, right? But at first it's fun, it's enjoyable, but then obstacles get in their way. What are some ways they can overcome these obstacles after, the shininess of the new object fades off, the fun's away, and now you just got to do the mundane tasks each and every day?
So there's two things to this. First of all, if I want to go back to the growth mindset part, that's where the growth mindset really is coming into it. You want to remind yourself of like, okay, this is just a feedback. Am I falling into the growth mindset or am I falling into fixed mindset? A lot of this has to do with the language that you use. So if you like are trying something new and right, like you said in the beginning, it's super exciting and we all get that. We hit that point. We hit that, like, it's much harder than we think it is. And we feel like giving up, and lots of people do give up. But the people that don't give up are instead trying to figure out ways to go and do it. So a big way that you could change that for yourself, just to like start, is by using your language. Instead of saying, let's say I can't do this, say I can't do this yet, or I'm going to learn how to do this, or who can I ask to figure this out? So by you saying I can't do this, all of a sudden your brain is just like putting on stall and it's not going to be able to get past that brick wall. Now, that could be one thing. The second thing, it could be because of your cognitive functions, these thinking skills that we were talking about before. There's 28 of them, so I can't give you like 1,000 different hacks because each one person is going to be for someone else. It's more about really being aware where are the things that you struggle most, and then rewiring your brain specifically on that.
So if somebody is growing up in a household, right, where they have a fixed mindset, there's a budget every month of what they can spend, where they can't spend, right, money. They're not coming from that abundance mentality. They didn't grow up with that. How can you change somebody to go out and become an abundant thinker, right? Coming from a household and an environment where they only had fixed mindsets to begin with.
Right.
Hey, by the way, Matthew started that sentence with, I have a friend.
Okay. So
asking for a friend.
Yeah. So when you first thing is always right, that awareness, right? So you're having the awareness that you have a fixed mindset. You don't want to go and stay in that fixed mindset. So you want to go back to that. Ask yourself the questions, how can I have that abundant mindset? Who do I need to speak to? What places do I need to be? A really, really good thing specifically with abundance I found is putting yourself like around people as much as possible that talk about abundance, talk about money, talk about like things in big. Like I know I recently had a marketing coach she was helping me with different marketing things, and she was just like telling me about her goals and her money. And she's like, now she's like, her next goal is to do something with like $500,000. And like, it was just like a few different examples like that. And I'm like, $500,000 is too small for me. I want to think a lot bigger than that. And I started noticing too many patterns that I just like got rid of her. Like I paid for a couple extra months and I just told her it's not worth it because being in her presence was making my mind think smaller. And I started listening to people who speak bigger, like Grant Cardone. Everything is like 10x, you're bringing it bigger. So surround yourself with people that you connect to, but that think massive, like way more than you. And in the beginning, you're think like, oh my God, I can't do this. This is like not for me. This is impossible. But when you spend enough time around them, it starts speaking normal. And instead of like counting pennies or counting in even tens or hundreds, they're counting in millions and billions.
Now, ST, does the vernacular alone make that schism? I mean, that change is drastic. Matt and I deal with people on a daily basis, whether it's clients, partners, friends. And obviously, the older you get, the more set in your ways you become. And it's very difficult to get people out of that mindset. Is it as simple as changing the nomenclature and the vernacular, and that will work?
So you could literally like do it like this. It literally could happen like that, but it has to come from the person. Usually when I like to like explain the growth mindset in steps. Like you're not going from I can't do this is impossible to already doing it. You're going up from like I can't do this, maybe I'm gonna try this, I want to do this, I'll figure it out, and then like I did it type of thing, right? So instead of trying to think of yourself as like I'm just automatically going to change tomorrow, you want to see how can I become like a little bit closer to the mindset that I want. But again, this is going back to the wanting. You could want something as much as possible, but if they don't want to do it, then it's not going to change. That's why I like to do the process of mediation instead of telling people. So we never teach people. Like if you're coming to LifePix University, we're not going to ever tell you anything. Instead, we're going to ask you questions, no matter how long it takes. It's a process. It takes a lot more time, but we're going to ask you questions till you realize by yourself what we're trying to show you.
So you use a sort of Socratic method in bringing out the best in people?
Basically. But it's like anyone could do this, and you could do this with anyone and everywhere. And it works really well because now the person, first of all, you're relating to the person, and it's not just like at them, but you're making them like from a passive learner to active learner. But besides for that, they're coming up with the answers themselves. They see they're going through the whole thought process of how you got there by yourself, but they have to go through that process like too.
I'm definitely a big believer in changing your environment will change the way you think, right? What is that saying? That cliched saying, but it happens to be true. My grandfather used to say it to me all the time. Show me who your friends are and I'll show you who you are, right? So me and Luigi are constantly joining masterminds, going to networking events and looking for people that are in the next playing field of where we want to go, not where we are. And sometimes I believe when you get stuck and pinned down in an environment where everybody's at the same level and you want to go higher, that's going to hinder your life experiences and what you want to do. Me and Luigi had a conversation the other night. We were talking about going out to dinner, right? Me and my wife, we love to go out to dinner. Luigi and his wife loves to go out to dinner. We like to try the best and the greatest restaurants out there. Not every night of the week, but once a month, right? We don't want to have to worry about asking the friends that we've had from our childhood and our past who may not be on the same level going there with us, because we have to already be cognitive of what they're willing to spend, right? So by getting around people who are playing higher than you, you generally don't get into that position in the first place, right? And some of the best things that you can do, in my opinion, for some of the people that you came up with in the past is leave them and then try to extend your hand and help them come back up with it as well.
Yeah, I found it easier, like instead of like saying like, okay, you have to like drop other people, but rather basically similar what you're saying, just like worded slightly differently, going into new places, becoming like them, and then bringing those other people. So instead of like not eating in those low restaurants anymore, now I'm eating in the higher restaurants, going to better hotels, whatever, flying first class, or putting myself in positions where people of the upper level are being, and then helping those people come up there. Yeah.
So speaking about being uncomfortable and starting new things, for me to have Luigi, we're about 75 episodes in right now, Lou. To get you on a podcast was very uncomfortable for him at first. Now he's the professor and he's the king, and he's getting fan mail all day long.
ST, you don't know what you don't know. One of the blessings that has come from this podcast is meeting people like you. So it's exposed us to some really intelligent, wonderful people. And I feel selfish sometimes. We take more from our guests than the guests get from us. So we had a gentleman on a few episodes ago that taught us this wonderful little trick, and Matt and I both do it. We go to our spouses in the morning and we ask them both. I don't think they have spoken, and I've traded notes.
I don't think they listen to the episode, and let's keep it that way.
Yeah, I think. So we asked them, is there anything we can do for you today? And my wife, by instinct, she always says, oh my God, you have so much to do, honey. Don't worry about it. I'm fine. However, I'm the type of person where if you give me 20 things to do, I need 25. You give me 25 things, so I need 30. I need a busy day. Whereas my wife, I can give her 10 things to do, but I have to give them to her sporadically, like per hour. At 9 o'clock, do this. At 10 o'clock, do this, because she'll get overwhelmed, right? So do you customize your approach depending on the person, or is LifePix University very static? This works. It's very successful. Come to the university. ST is the dean. Listen to what we say, and you will be better for it when you graduate.
The whole entire part about it is that it's 100% customized for every single person. So we can't do any like recorded courses or anything like that because there are 28 cognitive functions and every person thinks differently. Every person has different weak ones, different strong ones. Now, I can't even say, okay, this person has these 3 weak ones, because how they combine them together might be different than somebody else. Like literally every single person's brain works differently, and they're going to need, right, these different questions to help them rewire their brain different than somebody else. So everything is totally customized. We like doing it even in groups where people could like afterwards start asking their like peers like questions, so they learn how to mediate each other, and then they learn how to mediate themselves, so that way they don't need me, they could ask themselves questions to help them figure it out. But yeah, totally every person, like I was like thinking about your wife, about like how you have to tell her different things. Like to me, my brain's already going to, okay, she needs to improve this cognitive function or something like that.
ST, is English your first language?
So English is my first language. I grew up in New Jersey, but I went to school in England for 2 years, so I have my own unique accent.
The reason I'm asking is you said that you had some reading difficulties in 5th grade. And when I went to kindergarten, I didn't speak any English at all. My parents were immigrants. We spoke Italian at home, right? So I learned my ABCs and 1, 2, 3s with Sesame Street. I mean, to this day, sometimes when I count, I say 1, 2, 3. So it depends on your experience. So I was wondering if that struggle you had in grammar school, which is now the success that you're having today, I mean, that seed gave life to your university.
Yes. No, we spoke English at home. So I had English. Although I wish maybe it would have been a different language, so I would have learned another one, but not to do with that.
So, ST, let me ask you. So, you've been doing this for a while now, and your podcast is amazing. It's been going on for over 2 years. How many episodes do you have out there right now?
I think 356 was released yesterday. Can't keep track, something like that.
We got some work to do, Lou.
There was a point I was doing 4 episodes a week, so many numbers went up very fast, but it's a lot of work, so we saw that.
Let's talk about your business a little bit right now. So you have a fantastic business, and the way you're doing it is you're customizing the approach to every person that comes to you, every entrepreneur, right? So that's very time consuming, okay? Because you have to give people one-on-one attention. How do you work inside of your business, right? With the marketing, keeping up with the podcast and doing all this, right? I know you have a big TikTok following as well, right? So what are some steps that you take inside your business to make sure everything's running like a fine oiled machine?
Okay, so first of all, everything was added slowly, meaning you're seeing it now after a couple of years, but literally one step at a time, things were added. Okay, when I started my podcast, I literally did it from my phone. Okay, anyone who does podcasting knows not to do that, but if you listen back to episodes, the beginning ones, that's what it was. So you talking about risks, go ahead, just do it, just start, because that's what you see where happen. Now, what I really like to do is to use what I have and take it to one step further. Okay, so I had my podcast, and first I was doing just recording. Then we added video because we had like everything was on video. I might as well just put it also on YouTube.
Let me stop you there for 1 second. What came first, the podcast or the university?
Yeah, so the university, that came first. The business was first. So,
okay.
But right, so we had the podcast, and then added video, and then I was like, okay, now I literally took the videos and cut them up to put them on TikTok, right? So I'm still doing the podcast. That was no extra work to do the video and just a little bit more TikTok, and then we transcribed the podcast into the blog, right? So everything is following one step above. Now, once I had my TikTok and I was already in the TikTok and already had things, and I started recording videos just for TikTok, but didn't start that way. So for you listening, you want to try to think, like all the audience, you want to try to think, what am I doing now? And how can I use that to like bridge it into the next thing that I want to do, instead of you having to start all over from scratch all over again?
What marketing platforms do you see working best for you right now with your university and the podcast?
Yeah, so most definitely TikTok, podcast. From TikTok, you could, TikTok is, because of the platform of the TikTok, and it brings you automatically new people in, it's a really good place to get a new audience and then send that everywhere. So if you look at my TikTok page, you will see I'll send you to freebies like that I think that you'll really benefit from, or podcast episodes. If you ask me a question, I might say, okay, listen to this podcast episode. I can't respond in 60 seconds because there's a lot more information, but if you check out this episode, and then it grows also the podcast, right? Same thing with like email or everything. Like it's a whole web together, but at the core, because of TikTok's like ability to just like bring in people all the time, every time, it's what brings in the new people, and we send them over.
So what are some of the biggest challenges you faced? So we see what's been going on behind the scenes, but this hasn't happened. We see today, but behind the scenes over the last 3 years since you've been doing this all, what are some of the biggest challenges you've faced in your business?
Yeah, so in the beginning of the business is actually the whole format of it. Everything that I was doing was slightly different. Then I was also doing photography, and I was trying to find a way to connect photography with this and another method I was doing. And there was some success in it, but their demand wasn't enough. Like it was too complicating for people to really understand it and to see how much value would bring into their lives. plus just this rewiring the brain as like, more people need to know this. I had just this when I needed help, and this is the thing that made me help, so I don't need to make it more complicated, and let's do that. So segueing and really transforming the business from like a whole also photography business and like being known as just a photographer who helps people to actually helping people rewire their brain was a really big challenge, because people associated SD photographer. I'm like, no, SD's not photographer anymore. SD's now helping you rewire your brain. That was like probably the biggest one.
Esty, you mentioned earlier that humans have 28 cognitive abilities. What is one of your weak spots that LifePix University can help promote?
Yes. So here's my favorite one. Like, it changed my life completely. Okay. I used to have this ability to like, everything has to happen right now. Okay, like if I need something done, it happens now. So it was really good because I was not a procrastinator. Everything I've done, like I would felt so good about myself because like my whole to-do list got done right away.
That's sentiment is totally foreign to Matthew. He's never experienced that.
I don't know anybody like that.
Yeah, like right away. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, what I did notice is the way my brain was is like so different than everyone else's. It's like, yeah, everyone's brain is just different. But what was the problem? The problem was that if I had to do something today, and again, I would have to do it tomorrow, like, and I could just combine it together. Like, let's say I had to go to the grocery store and I needed something now, but it was like, and it's fine if I waited tomorrow. I didn't need it right now. I would still go to the grocery store right now, even though I know that tomorrow I need to go to the grocery store and get more things. I would go to the grocery store today, and I would go to the grocery store again tomorrow, and I'd waste time going to the grocery store today and tomorrow. So my brain didn't have the ability to go and say, hey, this could go on the back burner. I don't need to do this right now. So I was literally wasting time, making extra trips, going around, doing extra things, even if I didn't need to do it right now. So I improved the cognitive function, is called categorizations, being able to categorize things together, label them correctly. And that whole ability in your brain is called cognitive functions. I had to show my brain what cognitive function actually is. And now I group things together. I group things together so much that I saved, I don't know, 10, 20, 30 hours of my week, maybe more. And like literally, I still keep on finding ways to like group my tasks even more. So let's say, for example, I was writing, because I group things together now and I save tons of time, I batch record all my podcast episodes because they're just me. So it's a lot easier. And I have to write out my podcast episodes before. So I used to do one day that I'd say I write 6 episodes and another day I record them. But just like a couple of weeks ago, I was writing as like, my podcast has sections. It's going to be even smarter if I write first all section 1 for 6, all section 2 for 6, all section 3, because then I'm saving even more time.
ST, you want to have some fun on the liquid lunch?
Yes.
Okay, so you're going to pick one of us.
Okay.
And the one that you pick is going to make a suggestion to his partner on what cognitive abilities he needs to work with. And then you, in a couple of minutes, are going to work him through those struggles.
Okay.
On your mark, get set, go.
I have to pick is the hard part. I have to like pick it out of like a shot of the. Okay, so I'm picking Matt.
Oh, Matt gets to pick on one of my quirks, and then you're going to work through me. Oh boy, I'm going to lay down on the couch.
Patience.
Lack thereof, I have
Yes, he needs help with patience. Just like you said, we need everything now. Matt, where is it?
No mañana, todo día.
I feel you on that, because that is one is like, I feel like when God gave out patience, I just like wasn't there.
So work me through my struggles.
Okay, so patience is an action that we do, right? It's a verb. It's not an actual cognitive function that's affecting the patience. So I'm going to have to ask you a couple more questions to figure out which one of the 28 cognitive functions are making it hard for you to have patience. Okay, so when do you see it like coming up the most?
With work. Only with work.
Only with work.
Yep.
Now let's get specific. What sort of activities do you see it in work?
Everything.
Okay, why, what's going on in your head? Why do you need it to happen right now? Like, tell me as much as you could, because it might not be the first thing you say, but like, start to
Matt and I are doing a lot of things. We're running a lot of businesses, and we have a big staff. So when we delegate something to a staff, we need to know that once it's been delegated, it's been done. So the act of delegating, that to me is that task is accomplished. If I then find out a week later that task has not been accomplished, that's a problem.
So how do you feel? What's going on in your brain when you find out that it's not being, it wasn't done?
Frustration,
Okay.
lost opportunity.
Yeah, but what, okay, that was emotions. Now, like what, like from the business part, what else are you thinking?
Lost opportunity. To me, there's very few sins greater than lost business opportunity in a business.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now, what happens when you're giving over the information? As in, like, how do you know when a person is going to take responsibility for it and you could write it off done? Or do you always just like assume that it was done?
I assume it's done because in our directives, we say we want this done. The timing has to be within X days, and this is what we expect. If you have any
Okay,
questions, let us know. So we're very transparent in our expectations.
And why doesn't a person do it?
It could be so many things. It could be lack of communication on our part. Maybe the message wasn't clear enough.
Good. Perfect. Perfect. The message, what you see, so each one of these reasons is going to be a different cognitive function. So if the message wasn't clear enough, that is probably going to come from the cognitive function of labeling, of being able to like label things correctly. That is one of them. That it could be, or it could be considering another person's perspective, like how they see the things. So is that something? So like, let's get really clear on this. Is that what you see as the biggest problem, that the message wasn't clear enough, or is it something else?
It could also be the person's very busy and this was not made a priority, or maybe we didn't tell them this is a priority.
Yes. Again, so it's going back to that communication of it not being clear enough, right? Okay. So that will come, it's very possible the cognitive function of like giving labels, like instead of just telling people what to do, like telling people like this, that, or being very, very, very super specific about what you're saying. Like, so a lot of times you see like, put this there, but what's there? Obviously, like I'm giving a very vague example, but that could be like watching the specific language that you're doing together with being precise. So they work together of like making sure you're saying the whatever you, let's say it needs to be a priority, you have to be precise in getting it the most. Like we want to get things done, right? Like as like business owners, we have so much to do. We just want to get things done. And we don't like sometimes take the time to like take an extra minute to be super clear and precise in what we want to say, that it's making it hard for us to, that we say like, yeah, they get it, but an extra 30 seconds could save all this aggravation.
ST, you're absolutely right. Thank you.
You know, ST, I think...
Hold on, I need a break. Hold on.
I think it's labeling the priority status, Lou, right? We grew up in New York City in a time that was pre-Uber, right? So New York City's fast-paced. It goes a mile a minute, right? A New York minute, right? Is that the saying? But pre-Uber, I say, because when we walked out of the building and we wanted to get a yellow taxi cab, we had to stand on the corner and we had to hail that cab. And that's an opportunity to Lou. So I'm telling you right now, we knew if we didn't get in that cab right away, somebody right behind us was going to jump in that cab. So Lou doesn't want to miss any taxi cabs. So I think that's really what it comes.
I don't want to be eaten. I want to eat.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's a very big growth mindset. It's like you just want to get. We have to like make sure that
Oh, Matt, I could cancel my session for this week. Thank you, ST.
I'll never miss another taxi cab again. ST, thank you so much for being here with us. We want to be respectful of your time, but before we let you run, can you please tell everybody how they can get in touch with you on your socials and give them some direction of where they can find LifePix University?
Everywhere LifePix University. That's it. That's simple. It's just with the XPIX.
Simplifying things, making it easier and faster for everybody. ST, you're the best. Thank you for being here. But before I let you run, describe yourself in one word for me.
Oh.
I don't think that's a word. Oh.
Unique.
I love that. ST, thank you. Guys.
Thank you so much. This was so much fun.
That's a wrap of the Liquid Lunch Project. We'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you for listening to the show. And make sure you subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend. We'll see you on the next episode of the Liquid Lunch Project.